Let's call to order the August 27th business meeting of the South Country Central School District Board of Education. Please rise for the pledge. Trustee Ross, if you could lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, just take a moment of silence for the families affected by the school shooting this morning. Sending good thoughts their way. Please note the emergency exits. This is one that we all came in, there's windows back of the room. This is a smoke-free and vape-free school district. Smoking and vaping is not permitted in the building or anywhere on school grounds. This is also a hate-free and bully-free school district. Brings us to item C.
Yep.
The board consent agendas.
Thank you, Vice President DeLillo. The administration recommends the approval of board consent items reflected in Schedule C1 through C8.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Felicetta. Second?
Second.
Ms. Calderon? Any discussions? Okay. All those who approve? Okay. Vote passes unanimously. That brings us to the superintendent's report.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Santana?
Yes. Like an awkward silence. Where is everybody? All right. All right, let's get to it. Excited to have our Board of Education meeting tonight on our opening day where we welcome back staff today, so we're really amped up for the new school year. Also amped up because we have a special guest. First, I want to acknowledge our former trustee, Ms. Melissa Arudo, for being in the audience. Good seeing you again. She was part of the board that interviewed me when I first showed interest in South Country, so I appreciate you being here. But even cooler than that, I want to welcome Madison Arudo, her daughter, who will be our official board member as a student ex officio. So please, I want to ask Madison to come up and welcome her. At the board table. One of the things that we really want to focus on this year is to have our student ex officio really participate in the civic sort of process that we engage here as elected officials and as a school district. So we're looking forward to her input, and not just in terms of her reporting back on some of the high school or school district happenings and being the voice of the liaison between us and the student body, but also participating in some of our sort of discussions. She's going to be attending a training on September 17th virtually for other student ex officios. So really excited for her joining our team.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Along those lines, I had the great pleasure, and up on the screen you see displayed one of our goals from our strategic plan that I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about later. But we're trying to sort of enhance the student experience, and certainly by advocating and elevating student voices, we're certainly speaking to the student experience. As part of our operations, we engaged in our Board of Education building tours this past Monday. We started at South Haven, which again it's a beautiful facility. I wanted to give a shout out to Al Ellis, who's the chief there in that building, for the outstanding work they did to prepare for the opening for our pre-K kids. We also went to Brookhaven, which is Sal Civitello, who's the head custodian there, and the administrative team. Again, the building looks spectacular and is in really good shape for our opening on September 2nd. It seems like it's right around the corner. Just going in alphabetical order, elementary schools. We next went to Vern W. Critz, which has the longest hallway for school in history. And a big shout out to Vinny Marino, who's the head custodian there, for their outstanding work in prepping the building. We then went to the Kramer Kingdom, where we have Mike Buxenbaum, who's the head chief there, and did a wonderful job getting the building prepped there. Followed from Frank P. Long and Jeffrey Zarba, who's the acting chief custodian there, who did some pretty amazing work. Of course, Bellport Middle School, who's also now under Frank Ellis Jr. He's taken a lot of pride in the building, and he's done some wonderful things already. And finally, we ended up at the high school with Tom Ellis, who's done a wonderful job, and even volunteered some of his equipment to power wash the facade of the building. But the schools look great, they're ready for our students. We certainly welcome the staff today with confidence, and we're looking forward to the start of the school year. Next up, we had celebrated our August graduation for the class of 2025. It was a nice ceremony held in our library because the auditorium is in the process of being renovated. Really proud of these students. I'm looking forward to seeing the great things they do moving forward. I also hosted a community meeting this past Monday night regarding our cell phone policy. It was pretty well attended. We had approximately 40 community members, the parents there, along with Trustee DeLillo and Trustee Ross. And yeah, people, I think, in the general consensus of that meeting is people appreciate the cell phone policy. I think it's a long time coming. Some people expressed some concerns with their ability to communicate with students in the event of an emergency. And really, and we're going to talk about the safety plan a little later today, really what we've learned from experience is that the availability of cell phones can inhibit our response to an actual emergency. And so we want to make sure that in the unlikely event that there will be an emergency in the future, that students are listening to the prompts of the adults in charge, so we can sort of respond to it in an expeditious manner. But it was really glad to have the event. I'm going to be having town hall meetings on a quarterly basis, inviting community members to come and have a chat with the superintendent. We ended the meeting with an open forum if people had questions, which was, I think, a great practice. And again, speaks to our strategic plan and operations and giving more community engagement. So looking forward to continuing that process. Today we welcome back, or in the last couple of weeks, we welcomed some new staff and some old staff. First, we had our new teacher orientation, which spanned 3 days last week, where teachers engaged in a variety of trainings, not just onboarding practices, but all the trainings associated with not just teaching, but joining our team here in South Country. I also want to thank the BTA for taking them on a district tour on a school bus, which is also a fantastic experience. We only had a handful of new staff members, but I'm sure they're going to bring a lot of energy and enthusiasm to the school district. Then this morning, we had our superintendent's conference day, which actually is days. We have 2 days of training that span everything from using Parent Square as a new method of communication, to our literacy programs. There's a whole variety of trainings going out throughout the day, including your respective building meetings. We also talked about some of the challenges. The theme of the conference day was Shift Happens, Embrace It, Lead It, Love It. And basically it's to gain a sense of how, as a community, we can face challenges, and not just that, persevere and thrive. Because basically the shift represents an adaptation, not just to survive, but an adaptation to thrive in our district. And despite our challenges, which include declining enrollment, expenses outpacing revenue, attendance, student achievement, we've made strides in all those areas in the right direction over the course of the last year. We've seen improvement in our achievement scores 3 to 8, in our reading scores, in our graduation rate. We've also seen a decline in our attendance, chronic absenteeism, which is good. So we're shifting in the right direction, and so a lot of shift is happening, and we're excited about it, and we're looking forward to a very spectacular school year. And it really was great seeing all the staff back. As much as we lament the end of the school year, there's something exciting about the first day of school. So I was really happy with our presentation today and seeing all our staff members return. In terms of some of the activities happening outside of the district, I had the pleasure of attending the Education in New York Summit in Manhattan, which theme was Shaping Tomorrow's Schools Through Innovation. We spoke a lot about the portrait of a graduate and what that means for school districts moving forward. I had the pleasure of listening to New York State Commissioner Dr. Betty Rosa talk about how public education really is the cornerstone of democracy and how important it is to preserve our programs. I also got New York City Chancellor Melissa Avalos Ramos to speak about New York City, which is such a huge system and organization that it was remarkable to talk about or listen to them talk about all the innovative things they're doing to deal with so many things like food insecurities, access to technology, internship opportunities, and making college more accessible to New York City students. And I had the great pleasure of seeing my old colleague that I hired as an assistant principal, who was newly appointed as a Glen Cove superintendent, Dr. Alexa Doshner, who just started in that role in Glen Cove. What was really good about our subway ride to the conference is that I got recognized on the subway because I was wearing a Clipper shirt, and it was an alumni from 2020 who said, Bellport Clippers. So I said hello, I chatted with him, and then he jumped on a train that was leaving, so I didn't get his name. But it's a 2020 grad, it was great to see him, he's living in the city now. It was great to get that little recognition. In addition, I participated in a Spanish language radio interview on Vivo, which is AM 440 and 92.3 FM. And I was invited by Daphne Izari, who's the president of the Latino Teachers Association. It was a great experience doing the interview in Spanish. I did it once before, and I shared it with my mother, much to her delight, so I'm looking forward to sharing this broadcast with my mom. And also expanding outreach to Spanish-speaking community members. We spoke about the district, some of the resources we had, and to encourage our Spanish-speaking listeners to be actively involved in our school community. And finally, I had the pleasure of meeting with the Long Island Jewish Coalition through my association in our Suffolk County School Superintendents Association. We met with the coalition just to talk about anti-Semitism and how we best can support our Jewish students and our Jewish community. Just so you know, the Long Island Jewish Coalition is comprised of 24 different organizations, and they have a tremendous amount of resources available for our schools, including but not limited to Holocaust survivor presentations, which are now shifting to the family members of Holocaust survivors as they start aging out. One of the most impactful presentations here was with a Holocaust survivor at Bellport Middle School, and I've had the great pleasure of attending several throughout my career in education. It's always impactful. But they also run No Place for Hate, and anti-bias and anti-Semitism education programs that are free across the school district. So we're looking forward to their continued collaboration with that organization, not just here in South Country, but across Suffolk County. And finally, please check out our new website. It has great resources. If you just click here, this will bring us to the website. And just to see how you can access my page. Of course, there's an announcement about fall athletics. Menu. Oops, sorry. This is the worst trackpad. I apologize for the delay. Yeah. So up on the top of this page, which is not being displayed by this fire, is the Superintendent's Corner, which I update on a monthly basis. Also has access to my contact information, as well as my weekly blog that I post on a weekly basis on Fridays. So please visit our newly improved website, which we're really proud of. And finally, you can also follow us on social media. Some of these images were taken from this week. Bellport Middle School had a great orientation for the incoming sixth graders, where they got to practice using lockers, something they haven't done in quite some time. So we're really excited about our social media presence. So please follow our different social media handles across various platforms. All that information can be found on our website. And that concludes my superintendent's report. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll proceed with the trustee report. We'll start with Mr. Ross.
I don't have a whole lot to report. Things have just started getting started. I did attend the cell phone policy, and I commend those teachers in the audience who will deal with the naysayers and sort of ripping the Band-Aid off. That was sort of the general impression. Short of that, there wasn't much else. There's nothing else to report.
Mr. Felicetta?
So I had an opportunity to attend a few unique things this past couple of weeks. Starting off with the summer youth program, which I'm not sure it's been much mentioned of it. It's where my work life and this life is cross paths. I was there actually in attendance for work. And Bellport was represented by 3 students currently that were in the program, summer youth program this past summer right now. and one that was actually a graduate of the program from the year prior. And I'm going to want to make sure I pronounce her name right because she was the keynote speaker and is headed to Vassar College, I believe. Jeanette Mahid, which was one of the most impressive young ladies I've seen, who has been interning with Hawkland Group for the last year, and the partnership I have with them through my work. Obviously, they've done stuff here, but Brookhaven National Lab, Stony Brook University, and South Community College offered our students a paid internship opportunity at the Summer Youth Program, in which 3 of them were paid by the Department of Labor and received a steady paycheck for 7 weeks and graduated from the program with a badge from Stony Brook University. And Jeanette was the first of last year's program, and there was 3, I believe, from this year's program from Belport. And I know they are looking to grow the program, and I'm hoping that's something through STEM and science that we could look to get some more, hopefully, because it's an open-ended invitation, and I'm on the committee to help grow that from the other side of it. So I'm hoping it was very impressive to see the Belport alumni now at this point. I know she left this week. Speak on that behalf. I did get a chance to stop by the Belport football scrimmage 50th anniversary. I saw you from behind briefly, but it's amazing to see that it's 50 years. Saw some old people that I recognized, some old friends and coaches and things like that. So it's a great sign to see summer ending with football starting. So hopefully they're best of luck to them. And then today I actually had the opportunity to attend the Brookhaven Elementary Kindergarten orientation this afternoon, I guess it could be. My son is entering kindergarten. And I did want to make a statement in that regard too, and I preface this in conversations with the superintendent as well. There is, some hesitation or I would guess uneasiness with the start of the school year for me personally. This is a personal part, but also I think as a Board of Ed trustee, I have to look at it as a bigger picture. Obviously, and I've been very transparent with the Board of Ed and the superintendent in regards to this. There was an application process for the dual language program where it is my belief, and I strongly believe, that there was the process and the policy was not followed, and there's about 4 or 5 families that were negatively impacted and were never afforded the opportunity that followed the policy and the procedure in the right direction, and were never afforded the opportunity to be considered for the program. I know I've had extensive conversations with the superintendent about this as far as fixing the policy moving forward, and I appreciate those conversations. However, there's still 5 families in my mind that were negatively impacted. And again, full transparency, my child is one of those people, and I feel that it was a disservice to not only myself, but those families as well. I wish there would have been an opportunity to right the wrong that took place. I do think that the policy that was in place, there was failures in my opinion, again, this is my personal opinion, and I've shared this with everybody as well. I think that there was administrative failures at both the district and the building level that could have prevented this from happening. And ultimately, there are 5 district family members that are not being accepted into the dual language program. And this is not a negative impact on the dual. My oldest daughter is in the dual language program. I speak very highly. I'm very happy about it. And my ultimate goal personally is to hopefully grow the dual language program. I know we've had extensive conversations about that. I believe that more could have been done in this upcoming cohort to address the students that were negatively impacted by the lack of adherence to the policy put forth.
Thank you. Ms. Aruda, is there anything going on with the high school? Oh, I was just going
Already
on the
went that
table.
way.
I'm sorry.
I've met with the student council exec board a few times over the summer. We're just getting things started. We're starting to plan homecoming. We got to meet with Mr. Favell last week just to work out some kinks and stuff for homecoming, and we have an ice cream social planned on the 5th, the Friday, coming up to school, just to, get everyone settled and, communicate.
Awesome. Thank you.
Trustee Felice?
Thank you. Welcome aboard. You have big shoes to follow with your mother, having been here and served so well, but good luck to you. We welcome you. Yeah, it was a busy week starting this week. Attended the building walkthrough. Some of it's going to bear repeating in what the superintendent already reported, but the work was so outstanding, it does bear repeating. So in the building walkthrough, I was especially impressed with how much work was done, and especially contracting in the work that was completed by our own custodial and maintenance staff. For instance, the refurbishing of several restrooms at the middle school, restoration of the lockers at the Frank P. Long School, and the continuation repair of the tile work at all of our schools. The hallways and the floors are looking exceptional, as well as the rebranding of the cafeterias and the stairways in both the middle school and the high school. There's much for our students to be proud of, and I hope our budget can support all that is taking place. Attended the August high school graduation on 8/26 for some very proud graduates and their families. Congratulations to our summer school principal, Amy Ialucci, who was especially proud that every graduate was able to stay within their cohort and earn all the accolades they worked so hard to achieve. It is also significant when you really think of all the concerts, the plays, the sports, the homework, the tests, that until that moment when the superintendent certifies to the Board of Education that each graduate has satisfactorily completed the course of studies and requirements necessary to be granted a high school diploma. And the families were just excited to celebrate those achievements. Yesterday, I observed the boys' JV and varsity golf tryouts. That was pleasant, and I was pleasantly surprised at the number of students that were participating, even if that means I'll have to have a later tea time as a result of the number of students that were there. But I also have to say, and I have to compliment the JV and the varsity coaches, those boys were so polite to all the golfers, because we were all still out there with our outing that was taking place. They were so polite to everybody else that was still out there, and I was so impressed with just how well-mannered they were and how excited they were to be out there playing. And finally today with Superintendent Conference Day, and a bit of trepidation as we were approaching this day, especially when we talked about district expenses outpacing revenues. I trust that in the order in meeting our strategic plan that was also heavily referenced today, that to achieve the planned successes, we will start our budget strategy talks sooner rather than later to have a strong 2025-2026 school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Felice.
Thank you.
Trustee Calderon?
Well, welcome, Madison. Full circle moment, I was an ex officio student member in my high school in Patrick Medford. Now I'm sitting here, so maybe we'll see you in a few years. And not much to report, unfortunately. I was traveling, so I couldn't attend a lot of these amazing events, but I'm gearing up for the new school year, excited. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. For myself, welcome, Ms. Madison. Oh, sorry, Ms. Hayes. Do you have something?
I had the pleasure of meeting Madison Aruda in conference with the superintendent for an informal onboarding discussion, which was very interesting because it came right on the heels of the conference that I had attended a couple weeks ago, sponsored by New York State School Board Association, where one of their main focuses was on student ex officio members and why the current state law is requiring all schools to have them. Now you remember that Bellport has had a student ex officio member as long as I can remember, but it's now required statewide, and it's intended so that the ex officio member and then all students that she is associated with will learn about civics and learn about how boards operate and the importance in boards. It's important also for the board itself to set an example of behavior for the students, so that they can learn how a functioning board should operate. So watching our demeanor and our efforts to build consensus to always work in best interest of the students, and also to recognize board responsibilities and to respect the administrator's role, so that we don't blur the lines between them. I also had the pleasure of being able to attend the new teacher luncheon, and just looking around the room with the new teachers, having just recently met with Madison, our new ex officio student board member, I realized I was really looking at the future, because these are young people who are coming in, dedicating themselves to doing what's best for the students, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all the things that can help us achieve. So I'll just sum up and say I'm very disappointed to have missed the activities this week, but very glad to hear the reports about how successful they've been. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. One personal note, I just want to give a shout out to Coach Gibbons and Coach Marigolio and the girls varsity soccer team. They participated in the town of Brookhaven summer tournament. They came in first for small school and went on to the champion against Sachem. Unfortunately lost there, but it was a great season. It was a combined varsity and JV team, and it was very warm and fuzzy. It was great seeing the camaraderie amongst the girls, and how they really did function as a team over the summer. Looking forward to seeing that into the fall. The activities this week have been fantastic. The building walks, the summer school graduation, which I give a shout out to everybody who has organized that. That is terrific that we do that in August, that there is a graduation, not just a congratulations, here's a diploma and see you. Superintendent's conference day today. I felt motivated to get into this year. Clear picture of where we're at and where we want to go. So, that's it for me. Public commentary. We do have one card. Yes. Mr. Kinsella. Kinsella, sorry.
I have a hard time remembering it myself. First of all, I'm Ronald Kinsella. I am a native of the school district in Brookhaven for 83 years, and I graduated in the turn of the century, 1960, just to let you know. In reference to people that graduate from Gulfport High School or South Country School District, they move on and they accomplish great things or good things for the well-being of their people of their own. You know, I noticed the Wall of Fame is kind of defunct. I would not like to see that disappear. Because there are people, as I say, I repeat it, that move on, they graduate, and they accomplish good things for the well-being of the general public. And they should be recognized just like we recognize those people that go on in the top 10%, say, of their classes and go to college. These people should also be recognized. So, would you please continue the Wall of Fame? Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Because I noticed last semester it went defunct, and another person that used to run it is now retired.
Okay.
So if you would keep that going, I think that would be a fantastic thing.
We appreciate the comment, and that is our intent to,
So,
no, I appreciate the comments, and that is our intent, to revisit the Wall of Fame and start continuing that practice.
Yes.
Yep,
okay, thank you, sir.
thank you, sir.
Thank you. And that was it. Item F, the strategic plan.
Yes.
Mr. Santana, thank you.
Move up to my post. All right, so it gives me great pleasure to finally present our strategic action plan, We actually worked on this for quite some time last year. So I want to begin by giving a little history. We actually contracted with Blueprint Strategic Planning, which is run by Kevin McGowan. He was actually nominated and was awarded the Superintendent of the Year for New York State, as well as the National Superintendent of the Year for the United States of America. That's what makes it national. It's a great resource in terms of collecting community input, taking stakeholder input to come up with a 5-year strategic plan. So in January of 2025, this past year, we had a community meeting that was preceded by meetings with our administrative team and our trustees, where we discussed some of our wants and needs, areas of growth for the school district in a very sort of collaborative manner. I was really happy with the amount of participation from our community. I think something like 80 people participated that night and joined teachers, staff members, administrators, community members, and trustees, and really discussing what we're looking to do with the district. And we came up with 3 priority areas, which is academic excellence, the student experience, and operations. So to get more specific, again, I call it the charted path ahead. You know, our mascot is a clipper, and so it's good to have a sort of a clear path or trajectory moving forward. So we engage in this Blueprint strategic planning process to chart a unified course for the future, one that reflects our community values and sets a clear trajectory for every clipper. So this collaborative effort ensures our goals, actions, and resources align to support student success and long-term district excellence. We developed a new mission statement, and I think it's important that we all familiarize with our mission. And our mission is to collectively, we empower every student with the knowledge, skills, and rigorous academic experiences they need to excel in their future endeavors, fostering critical thinking, resilience, and a sense of belonging, and a commitment to lifelong learning. So that's basically the mission of our school district. The vision, which is where we see ourselves going, and our vision for the school district and how we want to market ourselves, is that we are a high-performing, inclusive school community that prioritizes students, fosters excellence, and ensures equitable opportunities for all to achieve their fullest potential through high-quality education, critical thinking, and core values like honesty, perseverance, and compassion. We prepare lifelong learners for a diverse, evolving world. Together as partners and mentors, we create a safe, supportive environment where every student is heard, valued, and empowered to succeed. So I think we already hit a lot of those notes already in the shifts that have been happening in our district, and we're proud of that. So to go over our core values, and again, this was something that was a result of our collaboration. First, we have honesty and integrity, and I think that goes without saying, the value of having that as part of our values here in South Country, acting with truthfulness and transparency in all interactions and decisions, and even when we're faced with challenges. Respect. Respect is super important to me. I think respect goes both ways, and we need to have mutual respect in any interaction you have. Student to staff reactions, staff to student reaction, certainly amongst the board and our community members. We're going to value that as something important to us. Valuing every student, even those students who make poor choices, deserve our attention and support. So we want to make sure we provide the supports that students' feelings are validated and they feel seen. Giving and doing our very best. Something I posed as a question today is, are you the person you were when you were interviewed for your respective position? And that's something I reflect upon all the time, to make sure that I'm living up to the standards I set forth when I first was introduced to South Country, but really doing our very best. And a lot of the stuff is in our PRIDE sort of motto, which I'll go into in a second. We want to be solution-oriented. I think we spent a lot of energy and effort complaining of things that maybe need some growth or some change. So let's change that dynamic and talk about solutions to meet those areas of need and growth. We want to be student-centered. I mean, students are our client. It's our product. We want to make sure that every decision we make is made with our students in mind. That's not to say that we won't support staff in making those decisions, but really we want to make sure that we continue being student-centered. Of course, we want to be equitable. Every member of our community should feel like they have a fair shot in our school district. Every member of our community should feel like they're valued and respected and that their voices are heard. And finally, we want to make sure we increase community engagement through different venues, like having town hall forums for our community members. That's something we look to continue. So these are basically our core values, and the most important core value is our PRIDE, which represents being prepared, respectful, involved, diligent, and ethical in our interactions. And to me, the most important word there is ethical, because you can be great at many things, but if you're not a good person, then I think that says a lot. So those are our values. Then we talked about our priority areas, which I mentioned briefly. But to give you a little more specific, we have academic excellence. And the goal under that priority area is to provide all students with access to the tools, skills, and opportunities needed to succeed in rigorous and relevant coursework by emphasizing 21st century skills, expanding access to alternative learning pathways to support student interest. This is also very much aligned with our the portrait of a graduate and sort of the shifts we're making on a state level. Secondly, we talked about the student experience. And our goal is to foster a supportive and connected learning environment where students feel safe, secure, and valued by prioritizing meaningful relationships, balancing the use of technology and instructional practices, and promoting social emotional well-being. And I like the part about balancing the use of technology. That is aligned with our new cell phone policy. And also, a high school student very eloquently told me that you guys focus and harp on screen time, yet you keep us in front of Chromebooks all day. So it's something we really want to be conscientious of and ensure we engage in more note-taking, academic discourse, and just optimizing the student experience to best prepare them for the future. And finally, operations. Our goal there is to enhance the school district operations by fostering a supportive work environment, upgrading facilities, improving communication and transparency, strengthening parental involvement, and increasing community engagement through active participation and partnerships. We've already hit some of those marks just through our new website, what our transition to parents were, by having more community meetings in the future. So we're excited to tackle all these things. And just to get a little bit more specific, when we talk about academic excellence, we want to focus on literacy and communication. The shifts in our assessments are basically asking students to be critical thinkers. When I was a student, it was rote memorization and recall. We're kind of moving away from that because we're realizing that for people to be successful in life, they have to be able to think critically. It's not so much how good your memory is, but how good or how well you problem solve. So again, we want to strengthen writing and research across content areas, promote daily reading, literacy growth, and foster student discourse, debate, and critical thinking. When I was a kid in school, the optimal classroom was a silent classroom. We sat in rows and we listened to our teacher. We want to see our students kind of engaging in academic discourse about the content they're learning. We really want to focus on STEM and core instruction as part of our strategic plan, updating our K-5 math curriculum. We've done that for our literacy curriculum. Then we want to expand that to our math curriculum, expand our project-based and problem-based learning across grade levels, and provide explicit instruction and study skills. One of the feedback I got from some of our alumni from Bellport High School is we wish we had more like instruction on how to study. Some of us really don't know how to study. Global and career readiness, I see Madison shaking her head. Global and career readiness, obviously we're looking to maybe expand our CTE programs. Certainly look into financial literacy for all students, that's something we're already starting. And looking to do foreign language instruction in our elementary schools. Equity and access, of course, which is to guarantee rigorous coursework at all levels. And I feel the need to define rigorous. Rigorous doesn't mean difficult, it means that kids are thinking critically. So we just want to make sure that at all levels and all courses that we engage in just good conversations about the content, broaden elective opportunities, especially for our special education students, and use master scheduling to ensure equitable class sizes and learning conditions. This is also aligned with our DSIP priorities. DSIP is our District Comprehensive Improvement Plan. And basically our 4 focal points for this year is to have rigorous and relevant coursework, to focus on amending some of our instructional practices to match the profile of the graduate, a K-12 focus on high-impact instructional practices, and data-driven instruction. We want to be a little bit more deliberate in what we do to meet some of our needs in areas of growth when it comes to academic excellence.
What is DSIP again?
It's a District Comprehensive Improvement Plan. Our second priority area, the student experience, we want to make sure we focus on well-being and mental health, especially these days when we see a rise in more mental health concerns. So that included like normalizing the use of mental health professionals. Sometimes that's frowned upon. We want to make sure that students feel comfortable reaching out when they need help, provide supportive and trauma-informed responses to incidents, and expand our mental health professionals or access to them through different mechanisms like our partnership, for example, with Northwell Health. Inclusion and support, strengthening bilingual supports for our multilingual learners. We've already seen some progress there. Ensure equitable, compassionate responses for all students, and establish regular check-ins and re-entry meetings for students affected by incidents. A positive school climate and behavior, Again, we're gonna really be focusing on our code of conduct to ensure consistent implementation moving forward, using our restorative practices where applicable, community circles, and mentorship to build relationships and build a sense of belonging, and foster a culture of responsibility through restorative consequences and community service. And finally, engagement and enrichment, provide more opportunities for mentorship, enrichment, and accelerated learning. Build a culture of enjoyment in our schools. Schools should be fun. I mean, sure, we're here to learn. We should have fun while we're doing it. Look to expand extracurriculars, including intramurals at the middle school, and promote community building programs that connect students to staff and families. And I want to emphasize, these are just generalizations. The plan is actually actionable, and we're going to be reporting on a quarterly basis on the progress we're making in each of our goals. And some of these goals span a couple of years. Again, this plan spans 5 years, from this current year through the school year that will be 2028, 2029. And finally, operations speaks to student staff support and morale. We want to make sure staff feel empowered to be involved in our decision-making processes and have a voice so that their concerns are validated, addressing staffing inequities across schools, create recognition programs for staff contributions, foster positive leadership culture to support morale, and then again, to provide clear support for handling student behaviors. Facilities and infrastructure is a big sort of part of this area of operations. Over the last 3 years, we've made sort of substantial changes in our capital projects, and we're engaged in a multitude of projects currently in a budget-neutral manner by using our reserves and by creatively using different mechanisms. So we're going to continue that as the district sort of needs some TLC, to put it lightly. Communication and transparency, again, provide communication in multiple languages. Our new website is, you're able to translate it at a click of a button, making it a lot more accessible to our community. We want improved consistency and the clarity of communication methods, implement unified communication, which is ParentsCore, which is something we've already implemented this year. We've already upgraded our district website, and we want to use multiple outreach methods to reach all families. But at the same time, as much as we emphasize technology, we do think that certain things merit old school paper documents like report cards, certainly our newsletter for those in our community that don't have access to technology. And finally, again, community and family engagement. We want to strengthen parental involvement, encourage our parents to get involved in their respective PTAs, and increase transparency and active participation in district operations, which we'll do through our advisory committees and our plan moving forward. So that basically sums up the strategic plan. I don't know if any of the trustees have any questions.
I'll ask a question. So this strategic plan is, are you going to be reviewing it at the strategic planning committee on the quarterly basis, or with the Board of Education, or both?
So we're going to be reporting on the strategic plan and our strategic planning advisory committee on a regular basis at each of our meetings. On a quarterly basis, we'll be making presentations to show our progress for those goals that are applicable to this school year.
So then you're essentially chairing the goal, meeting the goals.
It's a collaborative effort.
Okay.
So through my cabinet, through administrators in the district, through teachers, depending on what the goals are.
Okay.
So we're really excited about it. Again, this is a result of collaborative work, community input, staff input, so we're excited to get going and to have kind of a clear path. And a part of it is to kind of streamline our efforts. And that's why we did outreach, because we want to have sort of a clear trajectory for the next 5 years. And certainly you raised some valid points earlier in the meeting today with regards to some of the financial constraints we may have. So a lot of these goals are sort of budget neutral. It just basically changes the practices. It doesn't cost us anything, for example, for me to host community forums. So a lot of this can be achieved at little to no cost.
So is that how you plan on getting community involvement? Based on the initial rollout of the strategic plan involved a lot of community involvement. Are you going to have community involvement, community meetings to update the community on the progress of the plan?
Right now, the intention is to do that at board meetings.
Okay.
Which is a public meeting, and the community forums is just more to sort of engage in dialogue with community
Okay.
members to give them
So then the
access.
agenda will serve as notice that it's on the
Right.
agenda, community should come out. Okay.
Do you have a question, Ann?
I was just gonna comment that I thought the planning for the strategic plan was very well done, and I'm impressed with the facilitator for this. I thought that the meeting of the community was well attended, lots of participants from community members, as well as a lot of staff members and administration. And I thought that the facilitator was able to compile the information that was presented during that session in a way that it could be broken down into these priority areas for us. So I wanted to thank you for finding this facilitator to help us make this step to have the new strategic plan put together and rolled out. And I'm looking forward to seeing it progress and to get updates about how we're doing with regard to implementing this.
Thank you, trustee.
I want to make one comment too, and I know I touched on this earlier, and it says the foreign language elementaries and schools, we've discussed this at length. I do see a date of 27/28. Considering the extensive wait list that there is already in the dual language program, I would hope that we could expedite that to an earlier date and consider options for future cohorts at a sooner date. I do think that there is a need in the district. In 2027, 2028, I know this was created, previously, but I think that's a little too far down the road to address the need that we currently have.
Appreciate the comments, yeah.
Any other comments, questions? No? Move on to. Moving on to the district safety plan. I believe everybody had a chance to review it. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm just gonna make a couple comments about how safety plans, so district safety plans are approved on an annual basis because they're modified and updated on an annual basis. The district safety plan is the one safety plan that's public. It's gonna be posted pending board approval tonight on our website. In addition to the district safety plan, we have building safety plans that are confidential. And they're confidential because that's how we sort of guarantee the safety of our students and staff in the case of an actual emergency. We don't want to sort of give away what our actual protocols will be. In light of today's tragic events, I think it's incredibly important that we have updated safety plans. Although, I'm going to say this, and I hope it's not taken the wrong way, I hope it's a monumental waste of time to engage in these plans, which means nothing will ever happen. But they're pretty comprehensive. It includes everything from like reunification drills, anytime we may have to evacuate a building. I've lived through that as a principal, through like bomb threats. Our response to any intruders that may happen. So it's really comprehensive. It includes people who are in command in case an incident happens. There's a clear chain of command in terms of who's responding, who's talking to the law enforcement. So those are the things we sort of discuss. And as part of our health and safety committee or advisory committee, we kind of address some of these concerns on a live basis. And during my sort of career as an administrator, these safety plans have changed dramatically. So it's amazing how much they get modified. Each time there's a new incident and people assess the situation. And one of the things that came out of these incidents and sort of the experiences is how cell phones can actually impede the response to an emergency. Because what happens is law enforcement can get inundated with calls. Sometimes it creates needless panic, and it sort of inhibits the ability of a school district or a school to respond to an emergency in real time. Because I witnessed this firsthand when a former student of mine, in my capacity as a high school principal, pulled a lockdown drill as a gag. And so law enforcement showed up in the school. And they were impeded to this campus, because we had a driveway, by the rush of parents that started coming to the district, which created a traffic jam, because the kids, when they saw the alarm go off, started texting their parents. It can also cause unnecessary panic amongst kids if they're starting to pass information that's not accurate. And really the best response in an emergency is to have students respond to the adults in charge and follow their prompts. We're going to do our very best to communicate to our community as expeditiously as possible should there ever be an emergency. Obviously we have to respond to the emergency first, but we have mechanisms by which the buildings communicate to my office. I'll be in charge of communicating out to the community in the unlikely event that an emergency would ever occur.
Another factor that also helps us with our district safety plan is the relationship that we have with our local precinct, which we have worked to really enhance over the years. And one of those ways that we have done that was with the Unity Day. Is there a rescheduled date for Unity Day that we're aware of yet?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, all right, if we could find out when that's gonna be, because that's a date that, where the community really gets to know its police officers and, in a friendly environment, even all their top brass comes down to that,
Correct.
that date, and it really is a really wonderful day for community members to get to know their police officers, the supervisors, and so it's important that we get that word out sooner rather than later, that, of its rescheduling.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're gonna reschedule it. We haven't heard any word, but as a matter of practice for school districts, we do get in touch with the inspectors in our respective school, police precincts. We have a great relationship with our SROs. And yeah, the idea is to expose children to law enforcement as much as possible, to develop relationships, and so that they realize that, police officers are here for our safety. So, at this point, I'm going to make a recommendation that the board approve the 2025-2026 Project Save District Level Plan.
Do we have a motion? A motion by trustee Felice, second by Mr. Felicetta. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion, no. All those in favor? Vote aye. It looks unanimous. Thank you. That brings us down to board consent, letter G, board consent agenda curriculum.
The administration recommends approval of curriculum items reflected in schedules G1 through G2.
Do we have a motion? Trustee Felice, second. Trustee Calderon, comments, questions? All those in favor? Vote aye. It looks unanimous, thank you. Brings us down to letter H, board consent agenda personnel.
The administration recommends approval of personnel agenda items H1 through H10.
Do we have a motion?
Come on.
Mr. Felicetta, a second.
Share the word.
Mr. Ross? Comments, questions? All those in favor, vote aye. Looks unanimous.
So before we continue, I just want to acknowledge Michaela Lyons and Joshua Leidig, is that correct, who will be working as permanent subs, both at our middle school. So welcome, guys.
Okay. Thank you and congratulations. That brings us down to letter I, board consent agenda business.
The administration recommends approval of business items reflected in schedules I1 through I6.
Do we have a motion?
Can I make a comment real quick, or no?
Let's motion and then, so motion.
Motion.
Mr. Felicetta, get that right. Mr. Ross is a second. Questions, comments?
I have a comment just because on the last part, the final 2024-25 contract, and we spoke at this already at length previously, but I saw, I think it's the third item, the career and technical education, the amount is, we have 85 students currently in the program at both of these, that's what I'm just trying to clarify.
So we pay by average.
Okay.
So we've actually sent more than 85 kids to the program, so you benefit from the average for a couple of years, and then you don't.
No, gotcha. And it's currently at, the rate is $15,500 per kid, and that's on a 2-year contract, if I'm correct, right? You're committed to 2 years per kid.
I believe so.
Okay. So we're looking at 1.3 million about going out to BOCES. I know we've talked about CTE coming
Right.
in-house. In this strategic plan, I think that's something that we can do in-house without a doubt, for a much more effective cost. So I just wanted to point that out, that it's something that I noticed in that, because I haven't seen it up front until the first time till now. It's a pretty significant amount of money that I think that we have the resources and hopefully future staff that could address that.
Yeah, and I've been talking to Trustee Falsetta, to sort of visit his school district. He's currently at William Floyd, because there are CTE programs that are very efficient in terms of the cost in terms of setting them up. Obviously, if you're going to run an automotive program that requires a certain amount of infrastructure, but there are a lot of programs that don't. So the idea is, can we create some sort of experiences for our students here in South Country so that we don't have to tuition them out, And if the program grows and our enrollment declines, we could also even tuition kids into our programs. And that is part of our strategic plan to look at those options.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay.
Take the vote.
Now we have to vote. Vote for the approval of items.
I thought I recommended it, I'll do it again. The administration recommends approval of business items reflected in I-1 through I-6.
And you have a motion and a
Yes.
second.
We had a
Motion to
motion to
approve.
second, so now it's the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Looks unanimous. Great. We have no more cards, right, Ms. Christine? Okay. Brings us to K, closing remarks. Does anybody have anything they would like to?
I do, just to bring it up, we sit here now having gone through a strategic plan. We've talked about our civics pieces, and I've, to note, sort of a whole we've seen. We talked about a safety plan as well. I haven't seen any civic engagements that we're maybe losing the opportunity on to talk to the kids and to offer opportunities and trainings for things like CPR, emergency services. The volunteer fire services that are here are looking for the civic engagement on their end as well. Those are our students, those are our neighbors. Like I think we're missing an opportunity, and it may be something. We do live in a unique district in that we have multiple fire departments and districts that are here. Some of those kids should also be acknowledged. As Mr. Kinsella pointed out, they already give to our community on a daily basis through their volunteer services. So I think that's something that we might be, as a board, both through our strategic plan, our civic engagement, and our learning through the safety plans, a way to reinforce and get more sort of bang for our buck.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Anybody else? Ms. Hayes? Oh, looks like Ms. Hayes has something to say.
One comment, it's really a request. Since we've been forming our board advisory committees, we do have room for community representatives. These are people who do not work in the district, and if there's anyone who is interested, please contact central office. Any of the committees, I believe there is still room for community members on each one.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hayes. This motion for adjournment? Motion, Mr. Ross, seconded by Ms. Calderon. All those in favor, say aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.